Hello everyone, welcome to the class. First of all, wishing you all of you a very happy Diwali. May you have a safe and very prosperous Diwali. Please do not burst crackers and please try to stay safe. And before we begin, I would request all of you to join the Telegram channel. The link has been given, the scan code has been given, so you can opt whichever you are comfortable with. Now, why should you join the Telegram channel? Because this is where you will get updates regarding the classes. At the same time, whatever files we upload, whatever PDF files we upload, you will also get those files in the PDF format. So you will have your notes as well. So in today's chapter, in today's lecture, we will have a revision of Buddhism and Jainism. Now, why are we doing a revision of Buddhism and Jainism? Guys, we have already completed that chapter, but I felt that chapter was very intensive, very huge, with lots of terms, lots of things to be understood. So I thought it would be better that we can have a revision. And since it's Diwali, I did not want to burden you with something new. So let's have a quick revision of that particular topic. Let's start. Alright. So first of all, let's try to look at the causes for the growth of Buddhism and Jainism. Now, first of all, we have to understand that Buddhism and Jainism grew at such a time period when a certain section of the society was designated to being untouchables. They were not even given the basic minimum respect that a human being requires. They, seeing them, touching them was something very far off concept, but even seeing them was considered as polluting. So it was these people who required some kind of representation, some kind of equality, and Buddhism and Jainism was basically offering them that equality. So that is one of the major reasons for the rise of Buddhism and Jainism. The second reason is the Kshatriya clan was really fed up of the dominance of the Brahmins, and they wanted to get over this dominance, and hence we have the rise of Buddhism and Jainism. And I'm sure you know that both Buddha and Mahavir, they both belong to the Kshatriya clan itself. There was also the growth of this new agricultural economy, which required cattle for plowing and cattle for various other aspects of agriculture. So because of that, sacrifices of animals could not be done. Fine. And hence we have the rise of Buddhism and Jainism, where sacrifices, these yagyas and everything were completely rejected. The Vaishyas, or basically the mercantile groups, they were in support of Buddhism and Jainism because Buddhism and Jainism did not judge them for making money. Alright, and obviously they wanted a better social and peaceful life, and Buddhism and Jainism provided them that peaceful life, and they welcomed this new change. So that was about the rise of Buddhism and Jainism. Now I'm going a little fast, guys, because we've already completed these aspects. So I'm just going in, just going through the topic, through everything once again, so that you might not have a lot of difficulty. Let's talk about the Tipitakas, and which is basically the canonical text. Okay, so canonical text. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. So what do we have here? The earliest compilation of Buddhist teachings, alright, have been in books called Tripitakas or Tripitaka, fine, which basically means three basket. Now, all the branches of Buddhism have these books, okay, and these books basically are divided into three different books. So we have the Sut Pitak. Now this contains the teachings of Buddha. We have the Vinay Pitak. This contains the disciplinary code, the code of conduct that the Sangha or the nuns and the monks, or the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis in the Sangha have to follow. And then we have Abhidham Pitak. It basically tells you about the moral philosophy of of Buddhism. So that's about your Tipitakas. Let's try to understand in detail what this contains. So I've already told you that Sut Pitak is basically contains the word of Buddha. So it basically contains the rules and regulations. Alright, so it basically contains the teachings of Buddha. Fine. The Vinay Pitak, this contains the rules for monks and nuns. It includes Patimokkha, which is a list of transgressions against the monastic disciplines and attainments for these. So basically it also contains the kind of transgressions or the kind of wrongdoings that a monk or a nun might engage into, but at the same time what kind of atonements, what kind of prayashchit we can do for this. Okay, and lastly we have the Abhidham Pitak. It basically questions the Sut Pitak, it summarizes answers, so it basically consists of the philosophy of Buddhism, the philosophy on which Buddhism is actually based. That's what it contains. Okay, let's move ahead. Now let's talk about these books. The Tipitakas are divided into Nikayas, into books. So Sut Pitak is divided into 5 books. 5. So we have Digh Nikaya, Mahajimma, Samyutta, Anguttara and Khuddaka Nikaya. Fine, you have to remember these points, guys. I know it's a little difficult to remember these points. I know it would be difficult for you, but you have to remember it from your MCQ point of view, because you can get these questions here. Okay. Further, it is subdivided into 15 books. Okay. Now Vinay Pitak is further divided into 3 books. We have Sut Vibhanga, Maha Vibhanga and we have Bhikkhuni Vibhanga. So these are other 3 books. So Sut Pitak divided into Nikaya, alright, and Vinay Pitak divided into Vibhangas. Okay. Now we also have Khadanga, we have Mahavaga, we have Kulavaga and we have Parivara. So this is another division. Okay. Abhidham Pitak is divided into 7 books and we have Dhamma Sangini, we have Vibhanga, we have Dhatu Katha, we have Pugala Panati, we have Kahya Vathu, Yamaka or Pathana. So these are the 7 books into which Abhidham Pitak is further divided into. Alright, I know it's a lot to process, so I'll just give you some time. And you know guys, also please let me know if you have doubts. You can take a look at all the slides and let me know if there's anything you don't understand. Alright, so you can always put this in the question tab, or you can always put this in the comment section if there is anything you don't understand. So you can definitely do that. So let me know if there's any doubt. Okay, let's move ahead and let's talk about the biography or basically the hagiography of Buddha. So Gautam Buddha was born to Shuddhodhan. He was the chief of the Sakya clan. Shuddhodhan is his father's name, and by birth he was named as Siddharth. Okay, and where was he born? He was born in Lumbini in Nepal. Now he lost his mother. Mahamaya was the name of his mother. He lost his mother just few days after his birth. Okay, and he was brought up by his Masi and also his stepmother and foster mother, whose name was Mahapajapati Gautami. So that was that was the foster mother's name. Now it is said that there were 32 birthmarks on Buddha's body, and you know it was prophesied about him that either he would be a great conqueror or a world renouncer. So we all know what really happened. He actually renounced everything. He renounced the luxury of life and he went ahead in search of ultimate reality. He was married to this woman called Yashodhara at the early age of 16 and had a son named Rahul. At the age of 29, he left his palace. We all know the 3 sights that he had seen, guys. Saw a sick man, a dead man and an old man, and finally he saw an homeless mendicant who had come to terms with the death and decay of our life, of the body, and he really understood that this is the path he has to follow, and that's what he did. He went on to follow that path. So once he had left his home, he wandered around with Chana. He was the charioteer. Please remember these names, these are important. Charioteer and his horse Kanthaka. He wandered for 6 long years in search of truth. Okay, but obviously he was not able to find truth with him. So he first meditated with Alara Kalama, alright, and then Udaka Ramaputta. The Buddha later joined the 5 wandering ascetics, Asaji, Mahanama, Vapa, Bediya and Kondana. He practiced, so basically he tried to attain, he tried to get to know what what the ultimate reality is, what ultimate truth is through these learned men. Alright, so he meditated with these learned men and he practiced all sorts of ways in which he could understand the ultimate reality. He practiced austerities on his bodies. He actually tried to do everything. He actually followed bodily mortification as well. He starved himself, he tried to harm himself, punish himself, all of that. But ultimately he realized that he will not be able to do this, that he will not be able to find the ultimate reality like this. Alright, so what did he do? So after this he moved to a village that was known as Senani. He took a seat under the peepal tree facing east, and it was under this Bodhi tree that he finally attained enlightenment. Alright, and he came to be known as Buddha, the enlightened one. Okay, let me know guys if you have any doubts till here. If there's anything you don't understand, you can definitely ask me. You also have to remember these names, who we first meditated with. So Alara Kalama, Udaka Ramaputta, you have to remember these 5 wandering monks, Asaji, Mahanama, Vapa, Bediya, Kondana. You have to remember these names because they can definitely come from your definitely come in your MCQ format. So let me know if there's anything you don't understand and then we can maybe move ahead. Alright, so whatever you don't understand, you can definitely drop your question in the comment section. Let's move ahead. Now, the Buddha delivered his first speech in Sarnath, and that is always represented in the form of a wheel. Now this event is known as Dhamma Chakra Pavartana, or basically means Dharma Chakra Parivartan, which means the turning of wheel of Dharma. So after this, Buddha wandered about for 4 decades, almost 40 years, and then he established the Sangha, where he started ordaining monks and nuns, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. Alright, he was able to attain his Mahaparinibban at the age of 40 in Kusinagara. Now, what his last words were? His last words were that all composite things decay. Strive diligently. So what he means by this, that all the things in this world is going to come to an end. They are going to decay. So you have to choose your battles wisely. Now, Buddha is actually never represented in human form. He is usually represented in symbols. Okay. So the lotus and bull represents his birth, horse represents his renunciation, Bodhi tree represents his enlightenment, Dharma Chakra Parivartan represents his first sermon, and footprints represents the nirvana that he had attained. So remember these symbols also. These are very important because ये आपके MCQ में definitely आ सकते हैं. So please remember them. Alright. Let's move ahead and let's talk about the doctrines of Buddhism. So the core of Buddhist philosophy is expressed in what is known as Arya Sachani, or the 4 noble truths, or it is expressed in Ashtangika Marg, which is the 8-fold path. Okay, the middle path you can say. Then there is social code of conduct, and the attainment of nirvana. These are the basic philosophies of Buddhism. Okay, the three pillars of his teachings are Buddha, who is the founder and the teacher, Dhamma is the teachings, and Sangha is the order of the Buddhist monks and the nuns, or also known as the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis. So now let us try to understand these. Let us try to understand. First we will take a look at the fourfold path, then we will take a look at the eightfold path, and finally we will take a look at these two things. Okay, let's move ahead. Alright. So I've already told you about these books, guys, so I will not go into the details once again. There's no point of going into the details once again. Let's straight away jump into the teachings of Buddhism. Okay, so let's talk about the eightfold path. Now, eightfold path will be a little difficult to understand, so let's try to understand what this is. First of all, it is right vision or samadhiti. It is about understanding the nature of reality and the path of transformation. So right vision basically means what? And you should be able to understand what your life is about, what reality is, what your reality is, how you can change it, how you can bring about a change, and finally attain nirvana. Right thought and attitude, it basically signifies that you should have the intelligence, the emotional intelligence, the love and compassion. So your thoughts should be filled with all of these things. Right or whole speech, it signifies truthful, clearing, uplifting and uplifting and unharmful communication. So whenever you are communicating, remember, you have to be truthful, you have to be clear, and you have to speak in such a way that you don't harm others or you don't hurt others. Your voice should be such that it really soothes everyone else. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. So let me know if you have any doubts here. Whatever doubts you have, guys, you can always put it in the comment section if there's anything you don't understand. Okay, let's move ahead. Then we have the right to integral action. It signifies an ethical foundation of life. Alright, so basically you should have a good foundation of life, an ethical foundation of life. You should follow principles of non-exploitation, not just for yourself but for others also. And in this you have 5 rules of ethical conduct. Okay, what are these? First of all, you can't commit violence, you can't have property, you can't indulge in any kind of corrupt or sensual practices, you can't speak lie, you can't use intoxicants. Fine. In addition to this, there were certain other principles that the Buddhist Sangha had to observe. First of all, they had to avoid eating after midday. They have to refrain from any sort of entertainment, use of ornaments, anything which ties them down to this worldly pleasure. They also have to refrain from having money, from gold and silver, because again this will tie them down to this worldly pleasure. So all of this actually comes under right or integral action. ये सारे जितने points बताए हैं मैंने, it will be coming under that. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's take a look at the other eightfold path. Then we have right or proper livelihood. Basically, it lays emphasis that your livelihood obviously should be on a correct path. It should be corruption free. It should be based on ethical principles, and obviously it should follow non-exploitation. Not just for you but for others as well. Then we have right effort or energy. It basically signifies that your energy should always be in the direction of transformative things, alright, of creating something new, of healing something new, alright, and also your energy should be directed in a good direction, not in a opposite direction or in a negative direction. Fine. Right to mindfulness or awareness. So it basically means that you should be aware about things, not just what is happening around you, but you should be aware about yourself, your emotions, what you are going through, what you want in life. All of that you should be aware about. Fine. Lastly, we have right concentration. Fine. Or meditation. So you should be able to meditate. You should be able to focus on your breathing, leave away your thoughts. You should be able to take this position of samadhi or go into a meditative trance-like situation. All right. So this is what your eightfold path is all about. All right. Take your time, guys. Let me know if there's anything you don't understand here. You can always put it in the comment section and let me know if there's any difficulty that you might be facing. Let's move on to the other important aspects of Buddhism. Okay, so what are the other important aspects of Buddhism? So we have two actually. We have the 5 aggregates or the Panchkhanda, fine, and then we have the law of dependent origination or Patika Samupada. I will be talking about this in detail now. Let's talk about the 5 aggregates first. What are the 5 aggregates? First of all is the material root. Material root means basically your outer body, your physical aspects, your organs, your ears, eyes, nose, tongue, your smell, your sense of smell, touch, all of these things. So something which is tangible, something which you can touch, fine. Then we have feeling or sensation. So this is your aggregate which is rising from within, from your sense organs. So basically how you touch things, how you smell things, how you feel about certain things, and it can also be about the emotional aspects of your feeling. Okay. Now this can also, this feeling can contain all 3 senses: pleasant, unpleasant and indifferent. There are certain things which will be pleasurable to you. There are certain things which will be unpleasant, and there are certain things you might be, very indifferent towards. You might not even care about them. Okay. Lastly, we have perception or sana. This aggregate is the capacity to conceptualize things by associating them with others. So basically you have to find relationships here. You have to understand things by relating it to others. Like for example, if you're talking about money, we can relate money with ourselves and we can relate money with someone else also. And then, maybe we can understand their situation better. Maybe money is really important for them. Why is money important for them? Because that's how their situation is, right? So we can focus on all of those things, right? So that's what your perception or sana basically means. This is like an aggregate for you to recognize or understand things from others' perspective or by relating it to others. Okay. Then we have mental formation. This aggregate may be described as a conditioned response to an object or experience, fine. In the sense it partakes, the meaning is habit, fine. So mental formation basically means the habits that you might have, like the habit of getting early or the habit of having water as soon as we get up. So all these are mental formations for us, isn't it? Or the habit of donating a lot to people. When you see someone who's in trouble, you want to help them. So ye sab kya hai? All these are mental habits for us, right? And habits in the sense, these are mental formations for us. We have been taught these things or we have felt these things at one point of time. So that is why we have formed these associations in our mind and we work accordingly. Lastly, we have consciousness. Now, consciousness basically means being aware of yourself, being aware of the experiences, being aware of your emotions, being aware of what is happening around you. So, being conscious about the things which are around you. That is known as your Vijnana. Okay? Just take a look at all the points, guys, and let me know if there's any difficulty that you might be facing. Alright, let's move ahead and let's talk about the second aspect. So here We have completed this one. The law of 5 aggregates we have completed. And now let us look at towards the law of dependent origination. Now this, basically tells you what? This talks about dukh. Alright. It tells you that dukh or sorrow is an intrinsic part of human existence. So anyone who is there in this world, any human being who is there in this world will be sad. They are going to feel sadness. Okay. So that is what they are talking about. So law of dependent origination explains the reason for suffering. Fine. So you will suffer, but it also talks about the ways or the nirvana or the nidanas that we can follow to basically attain liberation or to move away from this sorrow. Okay? So there are 12 nidanas that we will take a look at and how they will help you move away from your sorrow. Fine. So let's take a look at the nidanas. So first of all, we have ignorance, mental formation, consciousness, names and forms, the sixth sense, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, aging and death. If you are able to master these things, you will be able to master yourself and you will never feel any kind of sorrow. And even if you feel sorrow, you will be able to get over it. You will be able to move towards nirvana. So these are the 12 aspects that you have to master. You can't be ignorant. You have to master your mental formation. You have to be conscious about it, conscious about whatever is happening around you. You should be conscious about yourself, what you are, what your name is. Your sixth sense should be activated. So all of these things are very important. So when you master these things, then only will you be able to do something about it. Will you be able to get over your sorrows. So that is all about the teachings of Buddhism. Okay? Alright? So that is all about the teachings of Buddhism. And these 12 links, these 12 nidanas have been divided into 3 groups. Okay? First of all is defilement. Under defilement, you have ignorance, craving, clinging. So defilement is basically about the impurities of the mind. Action or karma. So mental formation and becoming will come under action. Suffering, consciousness, name, form, the sixth sense, feeling, birth, aging, death, all of these will come under your suffering. Okay. So with this we have finished with the teachings of Buddhism. Alright. So what all did we cover? So we basically covered the 4 noble truths. Alright. Here we talked about, so let me just write down what all we covered. We covered about the 4-fold path. Alright. Here we've already spoken about the book, so I did not go into details. So this is what is there in your 4-fold path. Then we spoke about what, guys? We spoke about the 8-fold path. After this, what did we speak about? After this, we talked about the sorrow, how to get over sorrow. Fine. And then we also spoke about what is known as the 5 aggregates. Okay. So these are the few things that we have focused on. Alright. And with this we have finished what? With this we have finished our teachings of Buddhism. Let's move ahead and let's see why Buddhism was, why was it so popular and why and how did it spread so much. Okay. Alright. So reasons for spread of popularity of Buddhism. Buddhism gained wide acceptance in India, and not just in India but outside India as well. Okay, Central Asia, West Asia, Sri Lanka, all of these places Buddhism had gone and spread. What was the reason? Now, first of all, Buddhism was much more liberal and democratic. So unlike Brahminism, it was much more liberal, and obviously it gave the untouchables in the lower classes the kind of representation, the kind of equality that they had wanted. Once they were inside the Sangha, they were treated as equal. It did not matter what religion, caste, creed they had come upon, right? So that was one very important aspect. Language. Now, whatever message that Buddha was giving, he always used the language of the people. He used Pali, Prakrit. He never used Sanskrit because Sanskrit was known only by a select few people, and not everyone could understand Sanskrit. That was one reason. Second, the personality of Buddha. The personality of Buddha was such, he was an egoless man. He was kind. He appealed to the masses. Whatever he said, whatever his philosophy were, people were drawn towards him. People really liked what he said. So that was another reason. And obviously, none of the traditions could survive without state patronage or without the patronage from the government. So we have rulers like Prasenjit, Bimbisar, Ashok, Kanishk. We have Harshvardhan. So all of these people patronized Buddhism a lot. In fact, Ashoka sent his children, Sanghmitra and Mahendra, to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism. Alright. And also Buddhism was really inexpensive in the sense as compared to the Vedic traditions. When you needed to perform all those sacrifices and everything, you needed to spend a lot of money on that. But Buddhism was inexpensive because they were not spending on what? They were not spending on any of the sacrifices, rituals, giving gift. All of that was not recognized in Buddhism at all. Okay. And finally, we come to the last topic of our discussion today, and that is the decline of Buddhism. Why do you think Buddhism declined? First reason is corruption in the Sangha. Now, people of the Sangha, basically, they became very corrupt. So whatever donations they were getting, they were not using for the public welfare. They were using it for their own enjoyment and luxury. They completely forgot the rules and regulations which have been given to them by Buddha, and they completely ignored his teachings as well. There was a lot of division in Buddhism. There was a division like Hinayan, Mahayana, Tantrayan, Tantricism. There was division of Vajrayan. So the originality of Buddhism was actually lost. The simplicity was lost, and it became much more complex. So, and another reason for the decline of Buddhism was that from Pali and Prakrit, from the language of common people, even Buddhism now started using Sanskrit as a language. Alright. In fact, Sanskrit was replaced at the 4th Buddhist Council, which was presided over by Kanishka, and Sanskrit became the language. Now, this is a language the common people could not really understand. Okay. Then Buddha worship started. Now, Buddha never said that I am a god. He always said that I am a human being and I am going to guide you towards salvation. Fine. But this law was violated, and then Buddha was considered as a god, and only his worship could basically lead you towards Nirvana. This was part of your Mahayana Buddhism. Okay. So there was violation of Buddhist principle, complex rituals, rites, Brahminical worship. All of these things became part of Buddhism. Alright. Now there was also the persecution of Buddhism. So in course of time, there was again rise of Brahminical rulers, and we have Brahmin rulers like Pushyamitra Shunga, the Huna king, Mihir Kula, Shaivite Shashank, the god ruler. All of these people did not support Buddhism, and also they started persecuting the Buddhist monks. The liberal donations that was being made to the Sangha, that also declined a lot. And finally, we have invasion from the foreign lands, particularly the Turkish invasion. This basically led to the decline of Buddhism, and whatever Buddhist monks were left in India, they basically fled to Nepal or Tibet in seeking alliances, or in basically seeking asylum. So with this, we come to an end of our discussion on Buddhism and Jainism, Buddhism particularly. So we have revised Buddhism here. We have done a quick revision, guys, alright, so that Your concepts are absolutely clear, and also because it's Diwali, so I did not want to burden you with a lot of things again. So that's about it for today's lecture. I'm so sorry. Alright, so that's about it for today's lecture. So again guys, I'm wishing you all a very 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 happy Diwali. May you have a great year ahead. Please try to stay safe, do not burst crackers, take care of your animals also. Before I leave, I would request everyone to join our Telegram channel. The link and the scan code both have been given. Now why should you join this group? Because this is where you will get updates regarding the classes. Also, whatever notes we upload in the PDF format, that also you will get from here itself. And before you all leave, I would request everyone to like the video, to share the video, to comment. If there's anything you liked, you can tell us about it. If there's anything you don't like, you can tell us about it, and we'll be more than happy to work on it. All right. Also guys, I would request everyone to subscribe to the channel, press the bell notification so that you get notified whenever we post a new video. So that's about it from me, from your history educator Nicky Sinha. I will be seeing you all in the next class live and kicking. So thank you so much for watching. It was an absolute pleasure to have you all here. I will now see you all in the next class. Thank you so much guys.